Okay, so when you're talking about global aphasia patient, the person having global aphasia is more or less likely to have a complete left hemisphere damage in case the person is right-handed. So what we expect to see is a scenario where the expression may it be written or oral, understanding of language, may it be reading comprehension, may it be auditory comprehension, repetition, naming, reading, writing, everything is lost. So basically this patient is having no mode to express himself, no mode to understand you. That's how a severe global aphasia would look. But apart from that, you will also see that there are other involvements. For example, the left hemisphere damage leads to right hemiplegia or right hemiparesis. It will also involve the motor speech programmer of the left hemisphere. That gives you a praxis component as well. So now you have to deal with this patient having all the three things. So let's just think about it. When you're dealing with global aphasia, your goal has to be from the start itself that you will give this patient a mode for communication, a modality, a channel through which he will be able to do free exchange of his ideas without any struggle, without any much tension, much problems. So basically you're trying to give him a mode whereby it's easy for him to express his ideas like how it was pre-morbidly. So first and foremost, you have to find out this mode of communication. When I say mode of communication, it will involve everything. It can be verbal, it can be non-verbal. When I say non-verbal, it can be pointing, it can be head nod, it can be just a simple eye blink, it can be a use of a complex AC device, it can be anything and everything. So you just want to give him a mode of communication whereby he feels that yes, he has not lost the ability to communicate, he has just simply lost the ability to reorganize his thoughts into words and put them out and to decode what the other person is saying in the form of words. So this is my first goal. So how do I go about it? I will first find out the modality which this patient is capable of using if given the training. So it can be a simple head nod, it can be an eye blink. So you can use multiple of these modalities and assess him. While I assess him, I'll be like doing very simply like, is your name Mitali? And I will just wait for a response. Probably there will be a yes or a no. If that happens by himself, which means that there is little amount of comprehension present because her name is Mitali and she heard the name and there was some positive response that comes up. If nothing, then I'll give the answer. And when I give the answer, I'll also give one of the response modes. So for example, I just want to assess if it's a head nod. So I'll say yes. I'll give my response very, very explicit, very, very obvious and very, very easy for him to copy. So I will do a couple of such questions with different response modes and I'll see if the patient is himself coming up with some applicable response for a yes, no. It can be a simple eye blink, like every time the patient wants to say yes, he might just go like, you have to be vigilant and you need to find that one mode where he is able to do it. Once established, if the patient is giving you by himself, that's excellent. If not, then you establish one of these modes and then you gradually build it up from there. So I'll do a number of yes-no questions. Initially, I'll give the answers if the patient is not able to give the answer, of course, because of the comprehension deficit. And slowly, I'll put it on him, whereby now just give the question, pause, and then if at all needed, you just give the cue as to like for a yes, like you just go like that and he gives a yes. This is one mode of expression which you will start building. You need to take him to the mode of communicative intent whereby you want him to use his communication to express his needs and wants. Again, it has to be as simple as possible without making the patient feel that he is unable to do something. So once you establish that, okay fine, this is one of the mode of communication which the patient is capable of using, you start using this mode for him to ask for objects. So I will just put three things in front of him and I know like he is going for a breakfast and I'll just put an actual object of plate, a mobile phone and a watch. And what I'll ask is what do you want? And it's a very simple thing that he has to go for breakfast. He knows that there is a breakfast table, he has to go. What is out of these three things that he wants? What do you want? And I'll just go pointing. What do you want? Plate, mobile phone and watch. I will wait for him to at least look at the desired object, and the moment he does it, I'll reinforce it and I'll be like, oh, you want the plate, and then I'll give it to him. Gradually, I want to build this up. Now, if initially the patient is not able to do so, This is more so to more similar to visual action therapy, but it's something quite different. I don't know. I don't know if it's mentioned anywhere, but this is what I have tried when I see a patient with global aphasia, and it has worked a lot of times. So you start from the real objects, here and now situation, where you also know the answer. The patient is also very easy because it's very obvious for him to ask for that object. Then gradually take him to a level where the things are out of his here and now situation. For example, you show him the picture of brushing, you show the action of brushing, and you put three things in front of him: a brush, extremely different, so glass and a t-shirt, and you'll be like, brushing, what do you want? And he should be either looking at it, pointing at it, or picking it up. Any mode is okay. Reinforce and give it to him. So by this, what have you done? You have established communication for asking for objects. So basically you developed a communicative intent of instrumental function, which in turn will make that person very, very confident that yes, he still has the ability to express himself, his ideas and his thoughts. Of course, the long-term goal has to be that you establish a permanent channel of communication. While you are doing all these permutation combinations, you will of course understand that this patient is verbally trying to repeat you, or is there any sort of verbal response which is happening. But for that you need to take care of two more aspects. One, oromotor aspect, because since the left hemisphere is damaged completely, this patient is bound to show deficits in the oral muscles. So you need to start your oromotor therapy depending on what deficits you are seeing. At the same time, there will be praxis component involved, because the motor speech programmer, which lies in close proximity to your Broca's area, is also bound to get damaged. So the praxis needs to be worked by giving the prompts, using prompts. So you start giving different tactile cues, you start giving visual cues, and you start using different visual visual, tactile and auditory cues, and give that patient one of the way how to deal with this praxis problem. At the same time, start building up his oromotor. When all of it put together, you will see that the picture is slowly and slightly changing, where the verbal aspect is also coming in. If it doesn't come in, you know that this candidate probably will need AAC for long-term communication. Do not delay it further. Start introducing him to AAC, whereby you make it from a very simple, that whatever response you are using for identifying the object, and from there on you build it up and make it as complex as you can. But that is a whole different story which I cannot cover in one video. But yes, AAC should be considered as immediate as possible depending on what the patient is responding to you. But if you feel that the prognosis is good, where the patient is trying a lot, he's improving faster, AAC should be kept as always a ready tool for him to access whenever needed, but it should not be a first rule then and there that start AAC right here, right now. But barring all these things, when you are dealing with global aphasia, our most important role comes to build confidence in this patient. The fact that he cannot understand you, he cannot talk about anything, he cannot just do anything with his language, which he used to do pre-morbidly, puts him off. So he is just not there most of the time because he feels that he cannot do it. So his slightest thing should be reinforced a lot, and he needs to be made sure that you still have it in you, where you can talk, you can communicate, if not using your mouth, using your words. You can do it with other modalities, and people around you are understanding you. This bit helps a lot, because if the patient himself stops trying, no matter how wonderful techniques you have, it doesn't work. And also the approach of back to drawing board, that's the BDB approach given, that uses drawing as one of the modality. It's also one of the amazing ways how you can let the patient express himself. So if you feel that the patient has an upper hand in motor skills, where he can just draw it out and let others know what he wants, that's also one thing you can consider. But by and large, yes, this is what you can do for a global aphasia patient.